It says I'm live. I'll present my screen, and I'm just gonna work until Sean either shows up or regardless if it shows up, I'm just gonna try to knock this out. So, and it sounds like Sean is here. Okay. Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. I was going to uh start filling out this flyer until you either hopped on or you retaliated for me not showing up last Friday.
No, it was not retaliation. It's just my normal lag in the morning.
Uh, so yeah, you know how to use GIMP.
Yeah. Use it as much as I use Paint.net though. Paint.net's a little easier to use, except for certain things like positioning or like center or like aligning certain things. But um, sometimes I use Inkscape though for vector graphics. It just depends on what the point, what we're doing.
Uh, yeah, I guess I could pause what I'm doing and talk. Hold up.
Yeah,
So
you
this
can continue on. No
so
big deal.
this is my template. Well, this is the example, but I had the hardest time communicating to the graphic designer to take this and turn it into a template so that I could modify it without having to ask them to change it and paying him money every single time. And it took like 3 days to get this from this.
Gotcha.
So,
So okay, so they just left the background they left in, right?
well, the header, the type of package headers
Oh, okay.
is in here. The background, with the exception of swapping out the chair with the volleyball net. But that's it. I mean, this is still valuable because it shows me an example of what I originally wanted to achieve, which I still want to achieve. It's what the customer will likely see more or less. I just want to have the ability to continuously update or iterate
Hmm.
on what it means to have a relaxation package or a recreation package, and for how many days, and those
Is
other
that
details.
are those relaxation packages and recreation packages, or is everything
Yeah,
under those?
no, you're right. Um, yeah, you're right.
Ah!
That never even dawned on me. I get so much tunnel vision.
Well, on the
Um,
bright side, the kerning's all really good. So, or the camming.
I don't even know what font this is.
Hmm. I don't know. Could be any font.
Shouldn't there be an AI to tell me?
Probably. There probably is. If you can think about it, it's probably been done already.
I I despise doing this. It looks like I have no clue.
So you haven't put that font there. That was the font that they left there.
Yeah, that's the font of the graphic. I haven't done anything. Graphic designer did all this.
Hmm.
I thought I just changed this. You gotta change it first and then change it. Okay. There's no way I'm gonna be able to guess this font.
I don't know. Well, it's a sans serif font. It's probably bold. I don't know. Try open. Do you have open sans? That's like a really popular.
How do I
Um,
change the? There's no drop down for this.
oh. Hmm. I think. Yeah. I don't think there is. Although you might have to install Open Sans though. That would be a Google font. It's just used as a popular kind of like heading or
And
sans
and
font.
even
But
if I try to append a S to it and make it plural, it's going to throw the alignments off.
yeah, yeah, you'd have to do some sort of wizardry to like to fix the fix all of it. Unfortunately,
I'll leave it alone.
yeah, you should. So next time you get something like this, what you could ask for is what they're doing is ask for something in a like a layered format that you can edit, where they leave all of the elements that they are layering on here, rather than just giving you an output like PNG like this. Because like those dashes are in there too, like
Yeah.
so those aren't replaceable. So that's where you put your prices, right? So
No, that's what I thought originally. No, it's I think to align the items, each line items.
I mean, it's smaller text there originally. Huh.
Uh, um, let me hop off of here.
Yeah. Also, good idea. Put your QR code on there.
You keep on ruining every graphic design that I end up liking.
No, I'm not ruining it. The pictures are good.
I
It's gonna
start
be an
getting,
expensive
hey
flyer to
gambler,
print, but
I start getting tunnel vision and I just don't see things that other people see because believe it or not, that that flyer guide was iterated on like probably 10 times. And so I just started getting fixated on what I called out and I can't like take two steps back. So,
yeah, your
yeah.
video is coming in at about half a second or like a second after your voice, at least for me. It's a world of problems, man. Another week of wasted opportunities for me. So just using my time poorly, not landing on any sort of idea to work on. So
Everything is all my almost every single feed I get from YouTube is either the Ukraine Russian war or AI.
yeah, yeah, AI is everywhere. It's nonstop now. It's reaching its full like I don't know maturation of like the initial burst. It's like when like crypto kind of started to take off finally. It was like or gold rush kind of a deal, and then and NFTs and all that shit, and now AI is kind of in that realm. So, but I don't know.
We're experimenting with AI GPT this week at my company, so see what we can do. I'm I'm more aggressive at in my job search now. Before I would like casually apply to like a couple jobs via easy apply on LinkedIn or Career Builder. Now like I'm doing like 20 applications a day.
I saw that you posted your resume or whatever on there too.
Yeah, I had to write a check to the IRS, and then I'm like, oh God, all right, now things are getting serious.
Yeah.
So, still waiting a response from Y Combinator on my application.
When do they tell people, or don't they tell you when they're going to tell people?
I don't know. I mean, I published it like a day before the deadline, or I think the day of the deadline. Let me see. How long does Y Combinator take to respond to application? If you apply by early deadline, we'll reply to you in early February, or if you apply early deadline, January 27th, we'll reply in early February to let you know if we'd like to interview you early or if we need more time to review your application. If we need more time, then you'll hear back from us on the decision by late April/May, along with other on-time applicants. I said late April/May. I assume that means late April into May.
Yeah, yeah. So in the next 3 weeks, probably.
Which will be an interesting scenario in a low probability that they accept my application. Next stage is a 10-minute interview. In the low probability that I pass the interview and I get funded, and stars usually never align. So what happens if I get accepted and I end up with a job offer unrelated so I could pay my bills?
I don't
And
know.
I know what the easy answer is, but like, yeah,
Well, I mean, if you do get accepted or whatever, I mean, it's like a 3 month thing, right? And it's like a boot camp type deal,
yeah.
right? And so, and they fund it for the tune of $500,000. So,
Well, that's the question. They fund it, but what about funding me, right? And that's the part where it's kind of a conflict of interest
you got to pay yourself a salary. I mean, I'd assume,
for the 3 month boot camp. They
yeah, I
they
mean, that
they issue $150,000.
for the boot camp
If they choose you, they issue $150,000.
to pay for, like to pay for you. I thought it was $500,000 that they invest in each one.
No, 500,000 is the unicorns out of their pool.
Oh, okay. So they do 150 for the boot camp and then $500,000 for what they decide to fund afterwards.
They do 150,000 for the boot camp, and then for the extremely promising slash almost no brainer, like this is the um business that we're really going to get behind out of all the 700 other businesses that we funded for this batch. That's how I understand it.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm all confused then because it was like the way that this reads is twice a year we invest $500,000 per company in a large number of startups. We work intensively with them for 3 months to get the best possible shape and redefine their pitch to investors. Um, and then that culminates in demo day when they present. Um, see, I don't see where's the 150 number.
I'll find it.
Oh, oh, I see. Our 500,000 investment is made in two separate safes. They invest 120,000 in post money safe return for 7% of your company. They invest the rest for most favored nation. I don't know. Whoa. Someone's like, I'm gonna go buy this guy. So he does YouTube videos about bikes now and go Rear!
No, it's usually when motorcyclists get cut off by cars.
Hmm.
When was that dated?
This one is well, I was looking at the main page, but this is to enter agreement with the company.
Yes, gambler.
Yeah,
I have a new camera and I have a backlight behind my laptop. Thank you for noticing.
yeah, I don't know. But anyways, oh yeah, I suppose I would think that you would take it, obviously, and do that because like, what's the likelihood? You know, worst case scenario, sell your SUV and one of your bikes or something.
One of my bikes.
Yeah,
I work too hard for everything. I mean, I
you
would
can
probably
always
get
buy
rid
them
of.
again.
I would probably get rid of my Can-Am. I rarely ride that now.
Yeah,
My three wheeler.
yeah. You can always rebuy them too, or buy new ones. That's the thing. It's not like it's gone forever. It's just gone until you get another paycheck.
I'm not letting go of my Ducati. That Ducati is it gives me purpose. Uh,
Oh man, I was thinking I need to come up. I need to land some sort of like personal challenge or something to like try to launch something within a month or something like that. Just something that get me some fire. Get beyond the like launch anything is better than just sit here and be like, well, I could do this. No, I really think I want to do that. I could do this. I don't want to do that.
a pet
Just
rock.
yeah. Jump to conclusions, Matt. That's what I should do. Wasn't a terrible idea.
Or the pet rock?
No, the jump to conclusion, Matt. Have you ever seen that? You've seen Office Space, haven't you?
No.
Oh, so Office Space is this. If you've never seen it, is this Mike Judge movie from the '90s. It's about this guy who goes to work and
I have seen it.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I think
But
you
the
had me
guy's
watch
like,
it. No. Someone
no,
else had me watch it.
the guy's like, the like the guy who invented the pet rock. See, that's what you got to do. You got to come up with a great idea like that, and you'll never have to work again. And he's like, I had an idea like that once. It was a jump to conclusions mat. It was this mat that had different conclusions on it that you would jump
Why was
to.
why was that movie so successful? Or was it?
It was very well. I don't know if it was successful in like its
Like,
its run,
box
but
office?
yeah, but in terms of a cult classic, it is because it resonated in terms of all of the like corporate struggles that people have, what people hated about work. So that was basically it.
Was it pretty much a movie version of Dilbert?
People relate the two a lot, but yeah, yeah, essentially, there's just so many good like lines and just things. Actually, that movie scared the crap out of me about the corporate world because I'm like, I do not want to be like that. I don't want to go in and have that. You know, it's to a certain extent that's how the corporate world is, though. Is it's like, you know, just I don't know. I'll never work at a place that has a dress policy ever again. That's like a deal breaker for me for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I just don't. No. Oh,
You say
never
this
gonna
as
do
you
it.
work. You say this as you work remote.
Yeah. No, I if I had to go to an office, I mean, the thing is that the the dress policy. Okay, I shouldn't say they can't have a dress policy. They can't have a policy where they dictate what to wear. They get any rules beyond just show up and look normal. That's all you need. Just be like nobody in a professional world's gonna show up and freaking wear a crop top and or like you know booty shorts or like or a wife beater. Like people don't do that at the office. Like you don't do that in
Are you ready?
yeah.
I'm trying to be careful how I say this.
Did you do it?
They are they people do that, and they use discrimination for who they decide to identify with as an excuse and threaten lawsuits and bad public publicity, whatever relations with whatever company that has the audacity to tell them not to wear booty shorts or not to wear exposing clothing because I just saw something on the news like 3 days ago. I think it was I'm not sure if it was in Wisconsin. It was somewhere in the Midwest where this guy decided to identify as a woman, and he works as a elementary school teacher, and he has Z size. He
Oh
has a
yeah.
Z bra size.
God.
And
Yeah.
like the students are recording him through one of their cell phones, and it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the school doesn't want to man up and be like, this is inappropriate. You are you are literally sexualizing yourself in front of elementary schools or in front of elementary school children. Like they won't do it. So that's a prime example of there should be a dress code, and you shouldn't be able to get out of it by making a declaration
Yeah.
of what gender you decide that you want to be for the week or for the year.
Yeah. Well, regardless, even to me, even if people want to do that, I don't care what people wear. I don't even care. Okay, whatever.
No,
Be who you want to be. Whatever.
no, I learned from Mark Steeman that it's the way you present yourself to a party that you you want to work with shows a sign of respect, right? So, for example, and maybe it's different now, but the in the cult that I was raised in, you dress up in either a suit and a tie or slacks and a dress shirt with a tie to go to a place of worship because you want to be presentable in the house of Jehovah or whatever, right? And the same thing when when you're meeting up with, I would say even like Congress, right, or the president. Like it shows a sign of respect and that you're taking this seriously. That's all.
Yeah. Come as you are. And that's what is always, I think. But I just, yeah. There's never a
Nah.
case where I'm gonna go to work and be like you can't wear blue jeans. Fuck you, man. I'm
So so would you go to a wedding with ripped up shorts and a wife beater?
Would I?
Yeah.
No, because I don't wear that.
Or no, because that would be a sign of disrespect to
No.
one of the most signature events of two people's lives, and they want you to respect this life-altering event that they're having that day, that ceremony, right? So it's like
Yeah,
you want
no.
to show respect.
The only reason I dress up at all for those kinds of things is because my wife makes me.
Okay.
That's it. I don't really care, dude.
No, I'm going to drag this out. That means that you don't care about people. You don't respect people. If you respected people, then you would present yourself that conveys that respect.
Oh, I respect people. I don't respect cultural um norms or whatever, stuff like that. I don't respect this just like idea that the clothing defines respect. I No, dude, it's not it at all.
It shows that you took time to acknowledge that this is important to either other people or this is important to you.
I'm there. That's what I took time to do.
Sometimes it requires more than just showing up.
Yeah. Nah. Uh,
I will drag this out forever. But I wonder what
well,
Gambler's thoughts are.
well, Scott, because you're not in a suit and tie, I don't think you're respecting our interview, right, or our meeting right here. So,
I mean, like, if someone doesn't have
whoa,
a if someone has a PhD, then they can get away with that. If
no
it's
way,
yes way, if
no,
it's because they already proved themselves, they
nah.
have. If it's if it's an intern or some junior or associate, and they decide that they just want to show up in some booty shorts or they want to show up in some tattered pants with a wife beater for a for a software engineering job, it's like
Nah, let them. I don't care.
no, 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 no.
Doesn't harm me at all.
If they have no social proof, it's like okay, um, I can't take you seriously, and it shows that they don't take this seriously. If they have social proof or they have a PhD, then it's like they've proven themselves. But if you don't know this person, and this is their first impression of how they present themselves, it's like I, I, I'm not willing to take this gamble with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a guy show up for an interview with just like a white T-shirt with when at the place I worked, and it was um you know not suit anything, just white T-shirt and jeans. We hired him. Don't
Yeah.
care. Literally don't care
Well,
at all.
what was the dress code? Was everybody else in white t-shirts and jeans?
Well, no, you couldn't wear jeans, which is what I hate the most about dress codes. I can manage most dress codes. I don't like ones where it's you can't wear t-shirts and jeans. It's like
Yeah.
casual is like my minimum. Like I could go with a dress code where they're like we dress casual, and everyone knows what that means. It's like okay, but anything above business casual, business no, screw you. I'm not doing it.
Basically, dress code is what you would wear to go to the dentist office.
Yeah, or the movies or anything like that. Anywhere you'd go in public, you know. Not necessarily the beach though. You wear a shirt and you wear pants. Okay. Shorts should be allowed. Shorts should be allowed.
Had a beach day yesterday. I notice
Oh,
when I blast my music, people like to set up around me.
we just got in our like billionth day of snow. We actually broke our record now, so
Still,
we have the most snowfall this year of any recorded unrecorded history. So yeah, yeah. I don't know if you can hold on. Excuse my messy room, but oh, it's really too bright. I don't know if you can see out there. I wonder if it'll come through.
yeah, I see it. Wow,
Everything's a winter wonderland out there.
you're that far from me. Wow.
Well, it was like everything was like cleared up a couple days ago, and then we got more snow, and then it cleared up, and then we got more snow.
Dude, apparently South Florida doesn't have any gasoline.
What? Why not?
Apparently, this has been in the news and social media for like a week. I just found out about it last night when I rode my motorcycle, and I couldn't find any gas stations that were like, I don't know, selling gas.
Why?
So there is so early last week there was like 4 days of almost nonstop rain, and
Hmm.
so the streets were flooded, right? Because it was almost like Noah's Ark, right? It just kept raining and raining and raining for damn near a week. Um, and apparently that prevented or that disrupted supply lines. So trucks were not able to get in and out of whatever depot that stores millions of or billions, I guess millions of gallons of fuel, and it just disrupted the supply chain,
Hmm.
and that resulted in fuel being scarcity for what could get out to gas stations, which resulted in people overbuying and hoarding fuel. And yeah, man, I went to like three different gas stations. My motorcycle is damn near on E, and I couldn't find anything. And I'm like, yo, what is? How come none of these gas stations? I asked a attendant. I'm like, how come none of these gas stations have gas? They're like, where have you been? I'm like, I don't watch TV. He's like, you haven't looked at your social media? I'm like, I don't. I try to get away from social media. He's like, yeah, there's a fuel shortage. It's been going on for a week. I'm like, really? So, and this was last
Time,
night.
time to siphon out your SUV and then drive up to Orlando or something and
No, I'm gonna find the park police car and siphon their fuel.
time to buy a Tesla. You
Yeah,
know,
I know they're sitting pretty bougie right now.
they're all just like, but yeah,
I wonder how many Tesla owners are also iPhone owners.
I would bet a pretty high number.
Like
I would bet.
90%.
Yeah, yeah, I would bet. I was watching some. I saw this thing yesterday. It was like, it had different phones on it. It was like a meme or whatever. And it was like that this Nokia brick phone falls, the ground breaks. And it was like this thing breaks, the screen breaks. This thing falls, it explodes. And it was like iPhone. When an iPhone falls on the ground, the the owner dies. It was, I don't know. It was funny. He had to be there, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah,
This
anyways.
I'll crack the I'll crack the back of this phone. It's not even the case. It's literally the back, and it's fractured.
Hmm,
This phone cost me $1,100.
what phone is that?
I got a Samsung S21 or S22 Ultra.
And it cost you 1,100 bucks. 'Cause I think that's what I have, but it was.
Yeah, it cost me eleven
Hmm,
hundred out with no contract. I just bought it out of Best Buy.
oh, I feel like I bought the same thing for like 600 bucks. I don't know. Dude, have you
Yeah.
ever gone on Product Hunt before? Keep an eye on that.
No, you mentioned it. You mentioned it last Friday.
I think I mentioned it in on Twitter one day, just randomly.
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with Product Hunt.
It's like people like when you launch your product, you put it on this Product Hunt site, and then people find it or whatever and upvote it. So, but man, there's so much stuff that gets launched every day. It's pretty crazy. Like Fresh Products Friday, Camel AGI, a role playing of autonomous AI agents to solve a given task.
Is Product Hunt just a one-time launch, or people just keep launching the same thing on that website?
No, I think it's a one time you do, like when you launch your product, you throw it on here, and it's like a way people can find it. Like I suppose you'd put it on Hacker News and other stuff too, potentially. But um,
You're saying everything is AI now?
oh gosh, like every like I don't know, 8 out of 10 things are some sort of AI. I would bet just in the last whatever.
Did most of them make sense, or do they feel like they were being forced on whatever problem that they were trying to solve?
No, I guess I don't know. I haven't looked. I haven't looked at some of these too deeply. Let's see. Let's see. What's the first AI one that comes up when I go to newest versus featured? Um, well, some of them are like, the hell is it? Some of them are like courses and things, but this one, elucidate AI. We turn data into reports in one click. Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. They take data and then they. Dude, this looks like something you would have made on like the Windows Store app.
I
Like,
mean, it's the
not
MVP,
you,
right?
but yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Windows Store.
Elucidate. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was, I was about to say something. And I try to apply to Better Business Bureau. Apparently, I need to be in business for 6 months.
You've been in business for 3 years, man. four
No, I've
years.
been I've been writing code for something interesting for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Certainly, tons of AI in the title for marketing. I saw tons of product which seemed to me to be a solution to a certain problem, and then AI slapped it or slapped on it for a marketing purpose. AI is the new agile.
We put the AI in Agile. That's going to be my slogan for whatever I come up with. We put the AI in Agile.
Well, Google, I think just released theirs called Bard.
Bard's been out for a few weeks. Yeah. Amazon released Bedrock like last week or something like that, and then Nvidia did something with like video generation. Dude, it's everywhere.
I didn't realize they were all like. Reminds me of like the atomic bomb. Like couple, 2 or 3 countries are all working to try to figure out how to build it and see who's first. And I feel like this AI thing is who wrote like what journal or paper was published publicly that all of a sudden all these companies now have their own AI like
I think they've
systems.
all been working on it independently for some time, but
No,
ChatGPT
but
is
something
sort
had to be published because they all have the same thing. They all have the same foundation, the same strategy for generating output.
no,
That is a research paper. There's no way that they could all be working behind closed doors and there's no public journal that's been published
there's
or
been tons of like papers published all the time on AI though and stuff like for years. Like I remember maybe like 3 4 years ago, I was looking at a site like it's called "These Are Not Real People" or something like that. And it was like you go through just photos of people, and they were all computer generated. It's like, holy crap! Like these look like real people. Nope, they're all
but
computer generated.
is it not a coincidence that within like maybe the span of 6 months, like each major player in computing, in which there's like probably four or five maybe, they all deploy their generative AI?
I don't know.
That I would think that that is think about how long it takes for a software shop to ship their first version and how often it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. What is the probability that four or five monolithic organizations all pump out their AI solution, even if it's beta, within a 6 month window?
Like I said,
Like
I think it's
that's
just that Chat GPT changed the game in terms of application or usage and how people like experience it. So people just pivoted to be like go all in because of Chat GPT's success. But they've had successes in AI for years. I mean, um, like Dall-E's been around for at least a few years, and I thought that was crazy when it started. Um,
try to use
like,
Midjourney, and
yeah.
it will not give me a sample. It wants me to pay for a subscription.
Oh, didn't you sign up for through Discourse and all that and just do your trial run?
I have Discord. It's telling every single time I try to do something in Midjourney, it tells me that there's too much activity and they can't accommodate me. So
Oh,
consider purchasing a subscription.
yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, I can understand if it's just busy, but
They
yeah, I
should.
did some
It,
stuff on that earlier. It was okay. You have to learn how to prompt it though, right, for the right things.
well, I wanted it to take an image of a beach pop up tent and to brand it or put decals on it, like Beach Mobile and rental and mobile app or app store icons. I wanted to do that, and I couldn't I couldn't send a prompt at all.
You mean an image edit? Like you just wanted an
I
like
wanted it. I wanted to direct it towards a website that would have an image of a beach pop-up tent, and I wanted it to brand that pop-up tent.
oh, Midjourney can take in images and manipulate it. I thought it was only generative.
It can take a website, the content on that website, and make alterations to it,
Oh, I did
such
not
as
know
color
that.
scheme and stuff like that. When I was watching YouTube, they did an example of a Nike shoe. Like there's one prompt for referencing a website as context, and then it'll like based on whatever details of the next prompt, it'll give you four options or four examples, and then you pick one of the examples and it iterates on it. And
Yeah,
so it took a Nike shoe from a website and it made it look really nice. Like
yeah.
it changed the color scheme. Like it, I would buy it if they made size 15s.
The interesting thing I was thinking about prompts yesterday was that it's basically like prompts are just requirements gathering. Like people need to get better at specifying requirements for things. That's what prompts are. Like they're no different than software requirement documents. Like right.
Mm.
like we call them prompts now, but literally like business analysts and product owners have been giving prompts to developers for years and to designers and stuff. Like, make me a website that does XYZ, that does this with this rule and this rule and this rule. And so prompt engineering will just is a discipline of just getting better at that because AI can't work through the ambiguities as well as, well, not that we can work through the ambiguities that well, but good developers work through the ambiguities, right? Bad developers take what the spec is and write the prompt exactly as written and say, yep, I did what you asked for, right? And
Yeah.
AI will do the exact same thing and it'll give you exactly what you asked for. So it's putting the onus back on the product owners of VAs to type people to just get better at specifying what they want.
Well, that's not gonna happen. I mean, you call it out every single time I show you some UI assets, and like I have tunnel vision on things that jump out at me, right? And then you be like, oh, well that part's not right, and I don't really notice it until like you put a spotlight on it. I mean, with the
Yeah.
exception of uh, the YouTube UI thingy, where I noticed it. That was one of the first things I noticed was the spacing. But then I started focusing on other things, and then I forgot about the spacing part, and it just became normal.
Yeah. The
It's the same thing with coding, man. Like, I don't think people know what clean code looks like,
yeah, I
so
get
it becomes
I
normal.
that's why actually I think that's why I think that I honestly think that test driven development or unit testing helps people who just aren't good at just visualizing the end state or what the thing is supposed to do. Like it it helps people drive that path and keep things in small iterations. But if you have a certain level of attention to detail and can keep the solution in your head pretty well, I don't know that you need those kinds of things. Like I can once I get,
Well, you may not, but you would agree that code is written for other people, right?
no, I'd say code's written to solve a problem. I don't, yeah,
Code Most code that's written, if not all code that's written, needs to be maintained, and it's
yeah, but
highly likely that it's going to be maintained by other people throughout the life of that code being
yeah, but the problem with
executed.
tests is that they're also code. It's just code.
Yeah.
It's code. I
Well, it's
can't. I have a hard time reading tests half the time and understanding what they're actually trying to accomplish with them.
well, that's because the majority of people suck at code and suck at tests.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I would rather take code if the tests are going to suck anyways. I'd rather take code without the tests because it's less mental load to deal with.
Have you experimented with my style of just writing business equations and using that as the outline for implementation details of whatever like requirement or functionality?
Um, I want to say that I have a few times um, writing kind of like a spec first. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
It's it's that's a lot less than writing a test, and it kind of gives you an outline of what the core operations are without writing a test or without writing implementation details. That's my preferred way. But then I still write a test after, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
but
haven't wrote I haven't wrote code in a while.
but yeah, what was I gonna say? I was going towards something else. I forgot what I was. It was like, oh, I was gonna say. I actually think so. Like the pointing out stuff in that document. I actually thought I'd be a pretty good QA person, but I don't think I could ever be a QA person. So like, because I think I've got pretty good attention to like I notice things that are like I can take snapshots of stuff and I notice when things are wrong. And half the bugs I've ever written that have gotten into production, I noticed them and just like was like, hey, I'm not gonna follow up on that. It's something else probably. And then
Mm.
I kick myself in the pants every time. But it's like because I like when I test stuff, I visually see, oh, that doesn't feel right, or that doesn't seem right, or something is off here, and it's pretty obvious. But I don't know if people have got that do that much. If they just get, like you said, tunnel vision and focus in on one thing and not see the bigger picture. But I don't know.
I think most people don't look at the bigger picture. They just look at what's required for their next paycheck. So
Yeah,
that's a quote.
I got teed off yesterday a bit, and at work because so I've got some tickets that are going in right, and I'm like, the manager's kind of like, hey, how are these going to be tested? I'm like, well, these are mostly like infrastructure type changes. They're not really functional changes. I think that it'd be best for me to just test them or verify that they did, you know, that the changes are made as expect. And then we have some planned like full end-to-end regression testing eventually. So that'll be a second check there. And she's like, well, we had some other projects where we waited till the end to do this. And one other project where we waited to the end. It wasn't me who developed it. And so I think we better shift left on this and have a QA person look at it too. Like, no, I'm like, this is a totally different project. It's yeah, but I think we should. It's like, no, I don't want to spend time explaining to someone what the fuck all this is. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not functional changes. If it was, if I felt a QA would be useful here, I would engage with them as I did with these other things. Like just take my professional opinion here and say that this is what should be done. I don't understand like just totally being ignored because some other project, without clear vision and different developers had some issues with the way that they constructed things. It's just pissing me off yesterday. It's like
Do you
son
understand her
of a bitch.
side?
No, no.
Uh, Something that annoys me that may be related is when, and I guess I'm guilty of it too. Like when people don't stay in their lane, right? I remember like you're being hired for a role, but then other people are trying to be relevant to that project and overstep your what you recommend or advise. So
Yeah, yeah,
I remember being on a government project and it had something to do with we spec'd out the work more or less, but then like the question came up with, all right, well, we need a server environment for it. No. Actually, I'll take that back. We didn't spec out the work yet. We just had a high level understanding of what needed to be built, but that was it. And so because it's government, they wanted me to put in a request for a server and provide the specs for the server to be provisioned. And I'm like, I don't know what I don't know what the requirements are yet. Like, let's just do we really need to do this right now? Like, and of course, in hindsight, maybe I didn't consider because it's government how long it takes for a government project to provision a server to run a certain type of job. But I just remember saying, hey, we don't really have enough requirements for us to make an informed decision on how that server should be specced out. So let's hold off on that so that we don't end up using resources and having to keep requesting updates based on what we really need. And I just remember like another lady. completely isolated from my role as an architect, saying, "No, I think we should go ahead and put in that request now. Yeah, we should, the sooner the better. This and the other." And I'm like, are you? I wanted to ask, like, are you going to be the one that's going to be managing this, or am I still required to manage it? Right. That's what I wanted to ask. And then, sure enough, I go ahead and put in a request, and then the SREs or IT or sysadmins, whoever they are, they're like, "Well, tell us exactly what you need." And I'm like, I don't know, right? And I just remember like bouncing emails back and forth because it's like it's a premature decision that was made.
Hmm.
I'm curious what your thoughts are. I know that took me forever to get off, but like, you ever feel like people want to make decisions when they literally have no information at all?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, in some cases, it is like you have to see what they're dealing with and what their perspective is on things. Like you said, like this could be their eighth project, and they know that every project that they've had has been late because they haven't ordered servers in enough time or something like that. And even though it would be nice, you could just overspec and be like, oh, we wasted resources, but at least it's here because time's more valuable than software, and they could always reprovision machines and potentially, but yeah, I guess and that's fine. I suppose it should be like people can give opinions, but obviously, if you're the decision maker, you should have final say and be able to put your foot down. And this is one of those areas with this testing thing where I'm just like, this is like I'm owning this. I know exactly what the effect of the thing that we're doing is. I know why I put this ticket in. Like nobody really understands that part as well as I do. And I know from a testing standpoint that there's just a ton of waste going into trying to discuss this because their QA people are technical, but they're not like
Domain
heavily
experts.
involved. Yeah, they're domain experts, but they're not heavily involved in the purely technical part of it. Like it's like you can't. So this I'll just give you more insights into this. This is taking something that was consuming some Kafka topics, and it was consuming a bunch of topics through the same process. And what I'm doing is better. What I'm doing is better making each deployment only handle one. So it's just a configuration thing to say, okay, this deployment's going to handle this topic or whatever. So it's isolating those consumption events or whatever. So rather than having one process that consumes a bunch of topics, it's each process will only consume one, or one of them will do three. Anyways, that doesn't change the behavior of the application in any way. It's a throughput change that I'm trying to achieve, or and to have better understanding of how each event is being processed and what the CPU usage and all that crap is. That doesn't change like the business use case. It's like the only thing that could go wrong is one of them doesn't get spun up correctly, and and the and a message doesn't get processed. Well, I can literally just go in and check all of that myself. I just need to validate. Yep, 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 yep. This one's running. This one's running. This one's running. It's the only thing that changed. No functional changes.
There's not a change to cost.
Well,
There's
there's
not.
no. That's not what the QA person would be looking for. Yeah, it would be more. It's more resources, but it's split differently. Um,
Mm.
but uh, but yeah, that's not what they're looking for. They would be testing functional changes, so it would require them to go through the application in a bunch of ways to try to produce scenarios and then verify them from the application side that everything's working correctly.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. Do that in the end-to-end testing. This is tweaks to the infrastructure I'm making because we need to get this running smooth. It's like It's like tweaking the engine or something like that, or tuning the engine type of thing. It
And that analysis would just be captured in the description for that work item, right?
Yeah, uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I wrote the work ticket and I probably didn't put enough. Well, I put enough. I put all that in there. It's just we need to have the QAs. No, no, we don't. It's a waste of time. Period. In fact, I'm not even gonna
I'm gonna just tell the QA person, just don't even worry about this. Just be like, if you need to test something, throw some orders through. I don't care. Just do whatever you want. It's not testing it. It's regression testing something that's not even released yet. It basically is the equivalent of being like, I'm tuning the engine and I've got a bunch of like equipment that I can hook up to the engine to see how it's running better. And in between the person be like, yeah, we should have our test driver take it for a lap around the thing just to make sure. But I'm tuning the engine. Yeah, but we should have the and I've got all these like things I can look at and I can verify that just by running it and whatever feeding. Yeah, we're just gonna have the test driver. Well, what can you wait till I'm done with the tuning? No, we'll wait and stop at this tuning. We'll go do a lap, and then you can do more tuning. Then we'll do a lap, and it's like, well, what's the lap gaining? You're not like it's not gonna help me tune the engine more. Do you want to make sure the car still runs? Because I guarantee it'll still run. That's like with if my equipment is running
This
and
sounds like the types of conversations that developers have with me when I'm an architect.
yeah,
I advise them to do something, and they're trying to convince me that it's not warranted, and I'm like, uh, I think it is warranted, and they're like, no, it's not, not for our case, and that's the part that maybe is challenging for me is they relate, they're more tactical, and I'm more long term strategy because if I'm in the role of an architect, I have to think about the long term maintainability and impact. And they're like, no, Scott, it's not that serious. It's just blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, but that that's only addressing the symptom. It's not really, we're going to have to come back to this sooner or later. And it's my role to think about the long term, right? And so, like what you're explaining about or describing about your relationship with that stakeholder, I feel is like other people's pain, with working with me.
yeah. Well, no, I understand the whole. Some people don't look at the like. There's certain other developers where it might make sense to do it that way.
Like, here's an
I'm
example.
not that person. Like, I'm
Here's
careful.
here's an example. They'll create, and I'll probably share this with you. They'll write a interface, and that interface exposes a find operation, and that interface will be a void find, and then within parentheses, uh, integer. Yeah, and that's the interface. Void find takes an integer. And no, 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 no. It's not void because it has to return something.
Okay.
It'll be my it'll be like
Customer
search result.
find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
customer find, and then
Get.
within
Yeah.
it, and it takes a integer. Okay, and I'm like, why does it take an integer? And then I'm like, why are we assuming that that find is always going to be successful? Because it looks like it will always return a customer. Is it possible that the find will not yield anything? They're like, our database, it's the primary keys are integers. I'm like, but you're writing an interface, so the interface shouldn't care about the implementation details of your database. And it's kind of the conversation that I feel like you will push back on. Like, Scott, it's this is our business case. This is how our business works. It operates on an integer for finding keys. Like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, no, it is a big deal. You're writing an interface. The interface is supposed to be abstract. It shouldn't be tightly coupled to your database implementation details. And you're assuming that this operation, this find operation, is always going to be successful. If it's an interface in the first place, why is it automatically applicable to this database? It's supposed to be abstraction. Why do we have an interface at first? Well, we need to test it, so we're going to mock it. I'm like, and that's the disconnect. Like they're making the case that look, we're solving business problems and for our specific business case, and I'm like, yeah, but this is screaming maintenance concerns. And like, it's not rocket science to address these concerns if we just make it more abstract. Why is that? Why is that so difficult to do? Like, it's relatively easy to change the signature, and like, but because they're so used to doing the same thing over and over
Mm.
again,
But you
whose
just
side would
gave
you
the
take? Mine or theirs?
but you just gave the great argument for why I would take their side. It's because it is easy to change. Literally, just type change from.
It's not easy to change when you have a whole bunch of dependencies on that interface.
Well, I would get in. So in this case, a find would be now it depends on the type of interface and why. If this is a I customer repository
Yeah.
and the integer like the and the customer ID as a type is defined as an integer, any integer, a valid integer, then yeah, I would say that this all fine.
No.
Yeah. Now if it's a
No.
repository type, if it's a repository type and it's an abstract repository type, then you would probably make generics, at least in C sharp, and put types that define the primary key type on
So,
it and that. But because it
for
could be a
example,
GUID, it could be a
not
string, it could be anything.
not every data store relies on an integer. Sometimes it's totally acceptable to rely on the same interface across different device types for the same application. Okay, so if we look at mobile apps, and specifically we're looking at SQLite. If I can remember, SQLite, they store their primary keys, I believe, as strings, right? Not integers. Okay. Your SQL Server, like, you can have GUIDs, strings, integers, whatever. Like, if you want to expose a common interface across device types, and those device types may rely on third-party vendor technology that don't support the same primary key types, then yeah, you want to make things
That's
more abstract. Oh, Scott, you're reaching. Like, I'm not reaching. It's you literally. It's not that much effort to make this abstract, but you just don't want to do it.
well, that's why I started with the idea of the what is the customer ID type? Like, how are we defining it? Is it an integer type? Is it defined as any valid integer? That's how we define our customer IDs.
We shouldn't care about how it's saved in the interface.
It's a
We
type.
shouldn't.
Well, you need to
It's
define
it's it's
what
a
a
unique
type is.
identifier for a customer. It's
Yeah,
not an integer. It's not a string. It's a unique identifier for a customer. So let's program to that.
yeah. And if we're saying that the range that it is any number, then integer works fine. Any
Right.
like whole number between -2 million and or whatever that is
If
to
it's an
positive.
interface, it shouldn't care about if it's an integer that's being used or not. And I gave an example of when you have different device types that sooner or later they support the same business case, but that because of that device type or the third party implementation detail that only works with this type of device, like, you can't have that expectation that it's also going to use integers.
Oh, sure you can.
It's called area of volatility.
Yeah,
It, it,
it's
it
called an
doesn't.
adapter. The interface isn't the volatile part. It's the like you can have the adapter behind it be different, right?
So you're taking a integer,
Hmm.
and let's say another device type requires a GUID. What did that? How are you going to satisfy that? And
Okay.
I know I'm reaching, right,
So
because the
so
real
this is
scenario is the string versus the
if it's a
integer.
customer ID, there's no realm where a if you're saying the customer ID is a number, like then there's no realm in which it's also a GUID. The type is an integer.
All right,
There's no
but
need for a conversion.
okay, but my point
Yeah, it
is
depends on
we
the
shouldn't.
context.
My point is for building software over time, especially if the life expectancy of the solution that we're building or the product that we're building is going to be 10 years or 20 years, like, why are we programming to implementation details with interfaces?
Yeah,
That's my argument.
yeah. So it has to be abstractions, which and then abstractions have underlying types, and it's fine if the customer ID's underlying type is an integer. That's okay. and that could be fine and across every single implementation as long as it's the business is consistently that
It's
that
not
is
it
an
it's not
integer.
fine.
It is fine.
I will argue this with you to the death because now when I'm writing automated tests, I'm forced to use integers that mean absolutely nothing to me, right?
They
It's
mean
like
customer ID.
no.
You're a number.
When I'm writing automated tests or even like integration, yeah, when I'm writing automated tests, now I'm constrained to work with data types that I really shouldn't be forced to work with, right? It's so much easier to work with, you know, uh, customer ID John Doe versus customer ID 37654.
But now we're debating back again the type of the customer ID.
We're debating maintainability, and we're debating
No,
the fact that there's an ecosystem. There's not just one database.
yeah.
There's other factors.
So your argument shouldn't ever be about the thing as an integer. Be like that it's that define the type of ID that's there, or if it needs to be generic, make it generic. That's a different
Yes.
thing. But an I customer repository doesn't need to be generic because it's already typed. If it's an I repository or an I interface of something that's generic, then you make it generic. Yeah, you're right. If it's a repository, it shouldn't have an ID of an int. That is 100%. I agree with you
Okay.
because I've
Thank you.
had that
Fine.
happen. I've had that happen, and it's annoying when you make a GUID type and you're like, this is not the type that my thing uses, and now I've got a useless method on this repository, and I have to make another method internal or to add to it to handle this other type. You're absolutely 100% right in that. It's dependent on whether or not they were already, if this abstraction was an abstraction of a specific type or a generic abstraction. So iRepository, definitely 100% shouldn't have the primary key defined. It should be anything that you can give it as a type. But if it's customer repository and your business defines customers as a number, their identifier as a number, then go ahead, use an int. But that's more concrete than a other one. So I think we're getting in the weeds on that. I'm sure in the particular case, if it was an I repository of just like any type or like a DB set of any type, I really hate that like it's assumed to be a number.
No, I'm still going to disagree because I've worked in situations or I worked under constraints in which it's not just about your business, it's about your partners as well. If you can expose a common interface that plays nice with your business and the partners that may expect that form in a different way, but has the same context, it's still a win, right? So, for example, you may represent we can use the same thing with the integer as a primary key for how you save customers, right? But your customer partner, they save customers as GUIDs instead of ints, right?
Well, yeah, but
Not your
no,
customer's partner, your preferred partner, right? Which is a separate business, and they care about their business. They don't care about yours. You are
yeah,
a customer,
then you're right
right? Okay.
because now you've just said that it's not my company's customer, it's customers in general, and you need to make it generic enough to allow for their types of different things and how they want to do business. So if they need to generically define a customer, then it should be a generic ID.
All right,
It's
good. So now you
yeah.
can go back to your manager and say, "I'm sorry, you're right. We're
No,
going
I
to
can't.
have."
It's a waste of time. It's
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
I get it.
I'm in the camp of under abstraction over time, assuming
We gotta read out
assuming
loud. I'm in the
yeah.
camp under abstract, and then work towards the abstraction over time, assuming I easily can change it. If it's a permanent API, I've to support long term, like a REST API we expose to other parties, then I spend more time on the abstraction, long term planning.
Yeah, 100% with Gambler on that. That's what it is. So we do spend a lot of time abstracting things that don't need to be abstract. Sometimes like we do it to simplify things, or sometimes we do it to, and then that's where like testing. Sometimes I feel like we make worse code because we want to try to test these like independent units, but
Yeah,
we
that's
should
what
just be
DHH
taking
was saying, right?
yeah,
Test induced
yeah,
damage.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that approach. So it's like these should be written from the side of the prompt engineer on what it should be doing for you. No. Um, but yeah, I don't see the thing is with I don't like waste and I don't like wasting my time with stupid things. And this is one of those things where you'll never convince me that it's that that in this scenario that this code should be tested by a QA person because it's or not code. It's not even code. It's just infrastructure changes. It's like I can validate that myself, and I'm going to have to do it anyways. They're not adding anything to the scenario. They're not because this will get handled when we do the end to end after we're done tuning the engine. Then they can go out and run the trace track a bunch of times. It's like,
Did you yeah, I think you watched Jamie Edwards on Tech Conception, the topic of
uh,
developer incentives.
I think I breezed through it a little bit, but I didn't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, the essence of that discussion was different people have different incentives for how they respond or engage to events in the business. And so, like when I'm thinking about your manager, I'm thinking maybe she maybe she experienced, or it's probably obvious that she experienced, or that she was talked to by her superiors about quality and how certain things really shouldn't occur again if we go through this process. And maybe she remembers that difficult conversation with her superior, and now she wants to make sure that if something goes wrong, even though you say that it won't, when she gets asked that question of, well, did your developers go or did your team go through this process? And if not, why? Maybe she's just trying to protect herself.
Yeah, it's called, but that's a reactionary thing. I've given no reason for that to be the case with me, first of all, because I know exactly what case. Because there's another case where there's a lot of things that have gone through. This is a wildly different project. I'm a different person than those people that worked on that project. It's like, it's like this is different. It's
Yeah,
not the same.
as
It's
long as
not the same.
as long as that gets articulated in the workout and description, and
Yeah, it's like this isn't in production yet. We have the testing they want, the end-to-end testing scheduled already. That's a ticket. It's already going to be done. And I'm saying they're not going to because the concern is that well we could have found stuff sooner if we like did some of this stuff more upfront with this other project. I'm like, yeah, we've already done that work. That was done before. We have an end-to-end thing at the end. I can guarantee you that there is no functional changes here that they're going to find because this doesn't change functionally. That's it. As long as we deploy it correctly, then there is no functional changes. And all that deployment correctly takes is me validating, which I have to do anyways, going in and saying, yep, that one goes through. 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 That's it. Once we do that and we have like 5 logs produced, that's enough. That's it. It's everything works the exact same. Then it's looking at CPU usage and other things that I'm concerned about right now, and the throughput basically, which is what I'm focused on. They're non-functional requirements. So it's like, yeah, just listen to me. I don't need someone coming in and saying that this is how you should do this. I can I like I also get annoyed, but I understand and I don't complain about getting pushed to get this project done because I hate the project because it's not helping anyone anymore. It's not really needed. It's technically should be probably architected differently. Um, but I'm pushing it through. But when you tell me like, oh, you have to do this like waste of your time and their time because I'm nervous now because somebody else had a problem. Like, no, that's not me.
yeah,
Like if I understood your viewpoint, I would be okay with it. I can't understand your viewpoint on this because it's wrong. Period. So I don't know. It just pissed me off yesterday for some reason because I
I can
felt like I
tell.
wasn't. I felt like I just hate feeling like I'm not listened to. Like if somebody can listen to me and give me a valid, like what I feel is a valid response, I'll be like, okay, yeah, you're right. Nope, I'm wrong, and I move on. But when I articulate something and there's no articulation other than, well, anecdotally, somebody else had a problem over here, so you might have a problem. So I don't care if your situation's different. We're going to do this unnecessary thing that isn't needed because I think that it'd be good to do that. It's like, no, no, it's not. It's a waste of time. It's worse. It's bad. Spend
Yeah,
their time on testing these other things that probably can go wrong.
it makes me think about decisions that the argument for decisions being made on evidence instead of like baseless.
Well, it's a reactionary thing is what it is, and I hate reactionary stuff. I hate when somebody's like, "This happened, so let's change our entire process and make it more strict." It's like, are you weighing
Yeah.
what all
Uh,
that's going to do?
Isn't that called like CAB? I don't even know what CAB stands for.
Cap?
CAB, CAB.
Cab? No, I
Isn't
don't know what it is.
when there's a change and it has to go in front of a review board and you have
Oh,
to like.
change advisory board.
Okay, thank you.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, yeah, I hate. Ugh, I don't like that. But I guess see that's one of those things where I don't like it, but I guess I
Just
understand.
Humble hates it.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's a. Oh yeah, actually, it is a. It's okay. It's a reactionary thing to something that probably went wrong because this actually happened in one of the companies I worked for too. Something that wouldn't have ever gotten fixed by this change advisory board, wouldn't have ever got caught because it was a normal routine thing that they would have allowed through. Something went wrong, like a catastrophic thing went wrong, and they were down for like a day. And it was like, okay, we're gonna put a change advisory board in. It's like, well, that wouldn't have solved this problem.
And that's the thing. That's the and I know it's getting late, but that's the
Yeah,
political factor where like
you have to do anything.
people are
Yeah,
expected to make decisions without having to prove how it's going to address
yeah,
an event in the past, let alone how it's going to, I don't know, address it in the future.
yeah, yeah. And that's the business stuff that I just bothers me is there's so much waste given to reactionary bullshit. It's like it yes, something bad happened. You do an RCA, you find a good solution. Like we had another thing that happened this week is we had something go out to code, not me again. We had something to go out that was untested to production and it caused a problem. And we did our RCA, we found the root cause of it was because there was this flow through our workflow where things could do this. We said, okay, how do we solve that? We put in a procedure in place, a very small procedure that will fix it. And we're like, okay, this clears it all up. Like this can't happen anymore because this will get put into here. We'll have another double check. It'll be perfect. And then they're like, oh, we also like some other manager was like, okay, we've also implemented so that you have to put all your tickets in Jira through this particular workflow, and they must follow the exact workflow every time because of this thing that happened. It's like, but this wasn't part of the RCA. It's not going to fix it, and everyone's complaining about it. Like it's just an extra procedure that's needed in some places. Like you could still move it to here, which was the problem to begin with. It's like why? Just don't do just reactionary crap. Like the RCA worked. It worked. Like we found the problem, we put in a procedure, we're working towards fixing it. You don't need to put in other just random crap to feel like you
Heavy-handed
did stuff. Yeah.
because their
I just
superiors don't understand the details of what happened, so they're
Well,
forcing
they
them to
were all
come in blind
invited to
too.
the RCA. They could have gone and realized that none of this. Yeah, no, I talked to them about that already. It's just, but that's just another example of like, man, I just I don't know if I'm just not cut out for the corporate world because I see this stuff and it just makes me angry.
If I get funded, you're gonna be my co-founder.
No, I'll let you down too much and then you'll end up hating me.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin a friendship for that.
You know how many
I,
people I cut off on Twitter?
yeah, I'm not gonna be one of those people, man. I'm not gonna let you down. I'll continue to do this, but I should. I do want to get. I know we're running late here, but I do want to have some sort of challenge to me to get something going. Like I feel like by next Friday, if I don't have something like to show, or at least to like be like I did something towards doing a SaaS or some sort of product or whatever, I need to have some sort of like consequence or something,
Why don't you set up a
or
YouTube
like
channel?
just challenge me on it or something.
Why don't you set up a YouTube channel for whatever it has yet to be decided?
Yeah, and I don't know if that would be the approach I would take, but even if it's like start like a very simple demo of something that might not be like build like a database and put a customer in it or some shit like that, like and be like at least conceptualize and land on an idea and take one step towards it or something. I need to stop. I need to stop lollygagging on it. And even if you think it's a bad idea, whatever the business idea is, I
Well,
don't
all
care. I
right.
need to just make it, launch it, and move on, and be like, "Yep, that was bad, but at least I did this, this, and this."
So one of your pain
Uh,
points was something that disrupted the business. It was related to either some enhancement or some new functionality, and then you guys had to do root cause analysis. Like what tool could have appeased everybody in hindsight so that your manager wouldn't have responded the way that they responded? Like is there some type of opportunity for a solution based on the pain point that you just described that maybe you could marinate on?
nah, nah. It was totally a procedure thing. It wasn't it wasn't anything that tooling could have helped. But
Gambler says I'm thinking of building my own small embedded database for the fun of it. What's an embedded database? Is that like firmware data store?
so I would like there's two ways I would take embedded database. Either one is for an embedded system, or yeah, okay, yeah, SQLite.
SQLite is overrated. You could do so instead of using SQLite, unless it's for security. Like I just use the local store on the device. So I save everything as JSON onto the device instead of using a quote unquote relational like database, such as the product of SQLite.
Yeah,
You
just
accomplish the same thing. Okay, yeah, SQLite is probably more secure, but besides that, like you just serialize whatever to JSON, and then you just hydrate it whenever you need to read or or realize something again to work with. People use SQLite without, and it's kind of a heavy-handed approach, I think.
yeah, it
So
depends on the yeah, it depends on what's going into it.
I failed my interview because I told them that them using SQLite based on the context of what they were using it for was a heavy-handed waste. And I went into detail about why, and I didn't get the job.
Yeah, I agree with Gamlor. There's features within it, but it depends on what you're doing. Like, yeah, a lot of cases. Like I created like a key tracker once or something like that. It was a single threaded type thing, and I used SQLite. And I had all these stupid things in it about backups and blah blah blah. It would have been better. Just this was a long time ago, by the way. Not wouldn't design it the same way, but way overkill. Um, but yeah, like if you're doing anything sufficiently complex, you're gonna run into problems with JSON, especially if you do anything in parallel. Or does so SQLite? I don't know if it has transactional controls. I would assume it does, which would probably be one of the benefits of using it is that you've got those transactional controls, right? Like
What is it
what do they
called?
call it? Yeah, like what do they call it?
Atomic operations or something like that.
Yeah,
Which I thought atomic was a acronym.
no, there's another term I'm looking for. Like
He says SQLite has transactions.
yeah, so that's something that where it would be better than JavaScript because it's or JSON because like you had two threads trying to modify the same object at the same time. There's no consistency. Uh, it's like so it depends. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So just wait and use Gamlor Lite when it comes out, and you'll be
There you
you'll be
go.
good.
All right, Shine, it's been real. I'm gonna find a video clip of us going back and forth on interfaces and abstractions,
There's
and
about 10 of them.
I'm gonna well in this video, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna post the clip.
All
So,
right.
see
Sounds
ya.
good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yep. All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Gaylor. Take care. See ya. Bye. I'm out.